that somebody speaks to you or you say something and it's the right thing, but it just lands completely wrong. The big challenge that we have is often not what we say, but it's how we say. Hi, Christa here, and you and I have an appointment. And today we're going to talk about tone of voice and the delivery rhythm and how that impacts communication. I love communication. Now, have you ever experienced that somebody speaks to you or you say something and it's the right thing, but it just lands completely wrong? I know, I fall in that trap often, where the best of intentions and I say something and I say the right things, but somehow there's a reaction on the other side that I can get the message that this is just not landed well. Now, there's a psychologist, Albert Mirabai, and he came up with the 7-38-55 model of communication when we talk about communicating emotions. And I think it's so valuable to apply for any communication. The 7% stands for words. So 7% of what we say is the words that we say. 38% is tone of voice. 55% is body language. Now let that sink in. And now today we're only going to stand still and talk about tone of voice. The big challenge that we have is often not what we say, but it's how we say things. And that's where tone of voice comes in. My background is we really have loud voices. When I get excited, my tone of voice really goes loud. The intensity increases. And often people experience that I'm fighting, that I'm picking a fight. So there's so many different ways of tone of voice that can play a role. Sometimes your tone of voice can communicate that I am supporting you. Other times it can come that I can actually come across as being dismissive. Other times I can be aggressive. Other times it can come through as that I'm in a haste. I'm not really interested in what you're saying. So we need to listen to how we say things, our tone of voice. Are you, and I have to do it with myself often, sit back, listen to yourself, and ask yourself, is my intention coming through in the way I'm talking? Am I really coming through in the way that the other person would like to hear me? Now you will hear somewhere in the background, there's a bird chirping. That tone of voice, he's a guest speaker today, and his tone of voice is actually saying, I want to be heard. There's an urgency. For this session, I am actually just going to ignore him. But I want you to know that we've got a guest in the house. So when we talk about tone of voice, ask yourself for a moment, what is my inner state feel like? Because if my inner state is in turmoil, you're going to translate it most probably in that way that we say certain things. Now this is important for ourselves to make sure that we are being heard. Opening the doors that the other person is willing to listen to us. And this is very applicable in any workspace situation. When you are in a leadership position, ask yourself, am I coming across in a way that somebody will really hear me? And if I'm not, if my intention of what I'm trying to communicate is not coming through that way, we need to change it. And it's not a difficult thing. It's not a difficult skill. All we need to do is stop for a moment and listen. Listen to yourself. Ask yourself, what is the other person? What do I want them to hear? Ask yourself, is what I want to say coming through in a way that the other person is willing to listen to me? Now we often fall in the trap that we just blurt out things with no intention. It really just bubbles up. And then one of the things that can help us is look at the other person's reaction. And you will get the cues of how they heard you. So we as leaders, we as communicators need to pay so close attention to our tone of voice. And then with that, it's not only how high or how low we're speaking, it's also the pace that we're speaking at. If I start speaking very loud, very fast, and I actually want to rush through this, you're going to get the feeling that I don't have time for you. So when I slow it down, and I really pause for a moment for you to reflect, it gives you the feeling that I want you to engage with me, to connect with me. So we need to pay attention to the rhythm, the speed that we actually conveying the messages. Then there's another important part, is the timing. Sometimes we can say the right thing at the wrong time. That doesn't mean that we have to keep quiet. That doesn't mean that we mustn't say what we need to say. That means that we need to stop and actually ask yourself, is this the right time to bring up a certain topic, to talk about something else? And the easiest way to actually make sure that the timing is correct, that we're not being met with resistance, is when we make sure that both parties are self-regulated. In the heat of the moment, saying the right things might come out in the wrong way, and it might be heard in the wrong way. Rather set the time aside where both are regulated, the inner state and the words I'm going to say, my tone of voice is going to be in alignment, and then we can have the conversation. Now, this is applicable in any form of communication. As a leader, when your people are behaving a certain way, when they are not doing what you're asking them to do, when there's resistance, when there's a fight or flight response, where they really want to go in and attack you, it's often not what we say, it's how we say. So we need to mirror to our people how we intend them to speak to us as well. That forms a level of trust. Again, we are how we show up, how we communicate something. It's not so much the words. Remember, 7% is words. 38% is tone of voice. Now, one of the big challenges that we fall into in business as well as in private life, it's starting to show up a lot more. People are we relying on written conversation. We're relying on WhatsApps, sending quick messages through. People cannot hear you. It's so important for us to realize that. People cannot hear it. I have only later on in life realized is writing in capital letters means I'm shouting. Fortunately, we have now got emojis. We've got emojis where we can actually add, because when I put a heart emoji, the other person is actually realizing, okay, this is meant in a loving way. This person is not fighting. So we need to make sure when we communicate, whether it's verbal, our tone of voice comes through, when written conversations, our tone of voice comes through too. So we cannot just rely on the words that's coming through. We need to bring some context. And I've started seeing more and more people leaving voice notes. Why do we do that? Because it's the words and people can hear my tone of voice to get the context. And then what people are starting to do more and more, they're actually starting recording videos and sending videos through so that people can have the full package. Words, tone of voice, and body language. If we want to make sure that the message is coming through, make sure that your inner state and what you're going to say is in alignment, the way that we're going to say it. And the more we do that, the more aware we become, communication and delivery, productivity, clear, a feeling of connectedness really increases.